What's up, YouTube? Today we've got an important guest. We're going to be talking about something that is the modern day gold rush. I talk about roofing and how all there's money in roofing, but there's something bigger out there. It's solar. It's twice as profitable. It's twice as easy to scale. It may be a little bit harder to sell. And really that means that it comes down to your sales strategy. You know, it's like I got a little bit lazy selling roofs paid for by the insurance company. But when I met my brother from another mother, Michael, he really helped my YouTube, my solar sales game, and my whole mental capacity grow because he's been $1 million solar sales earner. He's on the way to being a 9-figure solar business owner. He's both a solar salesperson, a solar sales trainer, and a solar installer. And so today we're going to be talking about the state of the union in the solar industry. We're going to be talking about lost a little bit there. We're going to be talking about the state of the union in the solar industry, how to make it in a tough, uncertain time, like these uncertain, crazy times, like selling in a recession. Is solar easier in a recession? Is it harder? What are the ways that you make it when interest rates are high? And we're going to be talking about integrating roofing into your solar pitch. Mike, 100%. What's going on, brother? You have to catch me up to speed. How goes it?
Man, the solar world is on fire. The entire planet has decided we've issued a death sentence to fossil fuels. You said State of the Union here just a moment ago. I don't know if you watched the actual State of the Union with President Biden up there in the joint House of Congress. And, you know, he says something one side likes and they get up and clap, and the other side is all like kind of mad looking. Then he says something the other side likes and they get up and they clap, and the other side's all kind of mad looking. I don't know how or why, but he uttered the phrase, he uttered a sentence that said, you know what, we got to be nice to these oil companies, these fossil fuel companies. We want them to keep the price of gas and oil down. We need them to drill and keep doing what they do, because, you know, we're going to need fossil fuels for another 10 years. And the entire joint session of Congress went dead silent, looked at him like, I'm sorry, was that a dementia moment? Did he just let a state secret slip out? What in the holy hell are you talking about? We're going to need fossil fuels for another 10 years. But I tell you what, I think it's closer to the latter, not the former. I think it is, and it's not a secret. If you just listen to the government and what they're telling us, they're being very clear and very vocal that they are literally going to push fossil fuels to extinction. They're going to do that with a two-pronged method. I had an opportunity to go to the Solar Industry Association meeting in Manhattan, and it was for investors and banking and tax guys. And, you know, Lee, you and I love to run around all these your conferences and other roofing conferences and solar conferences where we got a bunch of guys who like to go out and, you know, have fun and drink beer and come in a little hungover on Saturday to the Saturday sessions and such. This was the grown-up solar conference, right? With bankers and three-piece suits, and most of them are already there in Manhattan. But one person that was there that I was listening to was the director at the Department of Energy for implementing this new law. And I love talking to people. You know, we knock on doors a lot in the solar industry. You guys do that in the roofing industry, and people will say, well, you know, we're not really interested in solar. And I'll be like, well, no, of course, no one's interested in solar. They're interested in, you know, refrigeration, ice cubes. They're interested in having a pool that works and stuff. They're not interested in solar. They're interested in electricity. But I'm really not here because we think you're interested in solar. In fact, you know, we got you down as not interested in solar. The reason I'm here is about the new law. I don't know if you're watching on TV, the President of the United States signed a new law. And that law has changed the face of solar for at least the next decade. What the law says is that the government's going to pay for 30% of every dollar spent in solar, possibly a lot more in commercial solar, which would apply to leases. If there's other items like domestic content, in other words, the panels made in the United States, or they were the installation crew is a disadvantaged workforce, or you're serving a disadvantaged community, there's much higher. Could go up to 60, 70% tax credits with the new law. So, Mr. Customer, I'm here about the new law. And the law says you're required to make a decision. And that decision is whether or not you're going to take the money or kind of bleed from orifices about the other side of this law, which says those who don't go solar are going to pay the money. They're going to get the money. And by the way, it was originally scored by the CBO, that's the Congressional Budget Office. The law doesn't say how much money is going to be spent. It says the government's going to pay for 30% of whatever that number is for the next 10 years. It was scheduled to be only 22% if that law wasn't enacted. It was going to be 0% come this December 31st. And so we're going from 0% covered by the government to way up and over anything it's been in the last number of years to a full 30% of the full amount spent. But it doesn't have a limit. What it does have, though, is another mechanism in the law. And the other mechanism says we're going to collect all the money that we spend in this law. Something else that's going on in the news. People ask me why I'm always talking about the news and like, why am I talking about Congress and laws and debt ceiling? So if you're watching the news right now, you know that the government's in a big ass fight. And what the big ass fight is about is that we've maxed out the credit card. We thought, hey, you know what? We'll just make COVID feel like a vacation. We'll just print another $10 trillion. We'll take our debt from 20 trillion to 30 trillion. Oh, wait, the credit card only had 30 trillion on it. So we've maxed out the credit card getting through COVID, passing all these laws that don't have a way to pay for themselves. So we're kind of done passing laws that don't pay for themselves. This law is a great example. It has a way to pay for itself. And here's how it pays for itself, Lee. Remember when they were selling this to us, this and the infrastructure bill, right? Those are the two big accomplishments of the Biden administration. Both of those laws said, oh, don't worry, we're not gonna collect this money by increasing your taxes. That was sort of true, sort of not. They're not going to collect this money by increasing your income taxes. And they said, don't worry, we're only going to increase your income taxes if you make over 400K. In other words, they're planning on having all the roofing and solar guys pay all the additional taxes. Well, there's literally nothing coming in income taxes. All of it comes from other kinds of fees, which really are taxes, but they're taxes on your electric bill. They're going to tax coal out of existence in the next 10 years. They're going to tax natural gas, oil, gasoline. You will be driving an electric car, period. 10 years from now. Why? They're not going to be making any that aren't electric cars 10 years from now. So that's what this new law addresses, Mr. Homeowner. I'm here to talk to you about getting the information you will need to make the decision you're required to make. You're either going to take the money, and by the way, it's somewhere between 10, 20, could be as much as $30,000 you're getting directly from the federal government, or the alternative isn't pretty. If you take the money, that's kind of fun. You get, 15, 20, 30 grand from the government. You're going to use that to buy a solar system. That's kind of cool. You have this asset that belongs to you, goes on your balance sheet, increases your net worth. 3-year electric bill goes away. And the most important thing is, how much you and your family are going to be spending for energy in the next 10, 20, 30 years. Or you can take the alternative. And this is what the lady from the Department of Energy was talking about in New York City. If you take the alternative, then you're going to experience an increase in your electric bill like nothing you've ever experienced before. Oh, wait, kind of like going to the grocery store right now. I went to the grocery store twice this weekend. Lee, big news. I'm going to be the grandfather of a baby girl coming this September. We had Thank you very much. I'm super excited. My first grandkid on the way. Been thinking a lot more about generational wealth these days. It's a little bit more meaningful than it used to be. But I got sent to the store twice. Both times I got about this much stuff. I got like this many things to fit on the belt, and it went down the belt. And both times, the number that one was $95. I had to go back and get some ice and a couple more things. I got this much stuff, and it was $116 for this much stuff. That they're like, what? Well, that same thing's going to happen to fossil fuels. Only what we're seeing happen at the grocery store and at other areas is all having to do with inflation, which is just whack right now, right? It's not 2-3%. It's not the Ronald Reagan inflation. It's the 8-9%. Actually, it's double digit. They're just not really telling us the truth. It's the Jimmy Carter inflation. Haven't seen it in 40 years. Now it's here. It's unprecedented. So we've not only got this inflation, but we've also got the new law, 2 of them. the infrastructure bill and the inflation bill. Well, the government sees it as a double benefit, a double whammy. If one, we get the money, because government loves to spend money on stuff. I mean, that's what they do. But not only are they getting the money, but they're going to charge the money to the people who don't go green. And therefore, that's going to increase your motivation and want you to use less fossil fuels, which to them is just another benefit of them adding the tax. So it's a double whammy. It's the carrot, but really it's the stick. Lee, guys that get out in front on stuff and take incentives, learn about stuff, adopt new technology, they're the early adopters. Those are the smart guys that learn how to kind of get ahead of the curve. The herd, right? The herd don't move that way. The herd moves how? It moves with the stick. You just start whipping jackasses and they start moving. So you're going to stick your head in the sand for another 2, 3, 5, 10 years and then go, holy shit, my electric bill is $1,500. What am I going to do? I guess I'll go solar. Tax credits over. There are too many homes.
What
are
just
solar
happened in California? What just happened in California?
So what happened in California is the utility deal. So you had 10 years to go solar in California, put up a little 5, 6 kilowatt solar system and have a $20 electric bill. And so they just changed the rules from the utilities, how the utilities compensate homeowners. Right now in Florida, you're in Florida, you have net metering. The only reason you have net metering is because DeSantis vetoed the law that the electric companies lobbied the legislatures for and paid them off, passed the law that said we're going to get rid of net metering. Net metering is the credit system where every time you produce more power than you need, no problem, just put it in the grid. You can take it back when you need it. Net metering. The meter kind of goes both ways. Well, California, they got too much solar. They needed to slow down the adoption, too much distributed generation. So now they're no longer giving net metering. They'll say, we'll sell you power for 40 cents, but when you give us additional power, we'll sell it back to you for 40. But when you sell it to us, we're only going to give you 4. And that's a huge, huge difference. And so now they're saying, oh, in California, you want to go solar, you need a battery because you don't want to sell the power and buy it back. You don't want to sell it for 4 and buy it back for 40. And so you want to keep it on site in a $20,000 battery. We'll see how that works. But the main point is people can go solar now with the current deal that's being offered by the government, the state government, the utility. If they wait, boom, that deal's going to change. But their desire to go solar is going to change dramatically because what they're paying for power is typically in history, when we had Ronald Reagan inflation, the price of electricity doubled every single 15 years. It's going to not double, but triple in the next 7 years. And the only reason it's not already done it is it takes too long to get through these regulatory bodies. When costs go up, it takes them 2, 3 years to get the price to equal the cost. That's the only reason that we're not paying some crazy amount. When the price of oil goes up, gas changes overnight. When the price of coal goes up and burning coal goes up, it takes 2 years to get through the state's regulatory process on home electric bills. So homeowners are going to have to contend with that. I'm having a lot of fun getting out to homeowners and sharing that with them, training guys to do that, showing them how to get the appointment at the door, how to light the customer's ass on fire when they look at it. And then most importantly, to actually do the real job, the service. The $1 million service is making customers understand they need this and then helping them get over the hill of using momentum to get them over the hill of thinking, hey, wait a minute, you've got them up this hill with all this information, all this stuff and the money from the government. They want to stop all that momentum and back down the hill and tell you they're going to need to think about that for a couple of days. All you got to do is have a little bit of training, know a little bit about a today only close, a little bit about the dynamics of how a solar sales happens. So when they get to that top and they're trying to put the brakes on, you just put your foot up and give them a good stiff kick in the butt and boom, they're over the top of that hill and they're coastering down the bottom. They're happy. You're happy. The solar coaster thing has begun and you've been of service. You were asked to come to their kitchen table to help them make a decision. And you were under, no false pretenses about what your job was. And when they said, wow, we know all this. Now what we're thinking we should do is procrastinate. We should think about this for a while. And you're like, yeah, I understand that. That's what everybody gets to. A couple of things I want to share about with you when we're done. We'll be signing contracts here in about 5 or 10 minutes. So get ready, buckle in. Here we go.
Dude, tell me about like where you're at right now. I mean, do roofs ever interrupt? Have you, since you know me, adopted any insurance claims? Have you got it into the
Yeah.
world a little bit? How's it integrating into your life?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you, I think if you sell a solar system and don't inspect the roof, and if that roof has, anything less than, 5 years, maybe the least 3 years of good life left, and you put a solar system on that, you're doing a disservice
This,
to the
sir,
customer.
you're ripping the
A
customer off.
disservice. Yeah. And same thing, if you're putting a brand new solar system on a roof and you're not saying to this homeowner, like, you're just going to pay for this roof, or you're going to put the roof to work, have it pay for itself. Like, if you're not saying, look, you ever had a flat roof? Lee, I had about a 3,000 square foot home with a flat roof. And every time I had to get up on that roof to like unclog the little, drain pipes and stuff, I'd be looking at, 2,500, 3,000 square feet of beautiful space. And I'd be like, I got to put this space to work. Why in the world would you have this beautiful platform, beautiful surface, and then not do anything at all with it? Why not put it to work? Why don't you make the roof pull the wagon? Why are you going to work every day and pulling the wagon under harness to come back and pay the $200, $500, soon to be $1,000 a month electric bill when you can have the roof pull the wagon? It's super easy. Put the equipment up there, generate the power, you're there. So you're doing a disservice to you. This isn't just an opportunity, guys. You know this. You know that roof can produce every bit of energy that family's going to need for the next 30 years. Why would you not sit down and go, hey, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that coterminous with this 25, 30-year roof, you need a 25, 30-year power plant up there. And then in 25, 30 years, we'll come take the solar down, put the new roof up, put the solar back up, and let's go. Otherwise, here's what's going to happen. You're going to put the roof up, and they're going to find out they need solar in 10 years. And these roof and the solar is going to be out of joint. It's going to cost them an extra, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 every time they got to re-roof to move the solar. Why not do it all at once?
Well, it's even bigger deal in Florida. I'm talking down here to the major installers. Roofing has to be a big deal because there's hurricanes. The roofs over 15 years old have to be replaced. So it's about being able to get the insurance to pay for the roof when necessary. But there's a process to it, solar insurance retail. I believe that selling a roof paid for by the insurance is just easier. And I would almost say that Michael, like, he has to be so embodied and sold on, he ain't selling you solar, he's selling you the truth, inflation. I mean, and he's making you kind of see the truth and believe in it within his own body. And a lot of times when people buy salespeople, they buy their belief. And the reality is, Michael, like, so many solar guys believe that roofing is sort of like, I'll do the roofing for lower so I can make more money on the solar. But there's a way you can make money on both. And I believe
and you should.
My newest YouTube, I'm actually rolling one out where first we got the insurance to agree to pay to replace the roof. But then as soon as we built rapport, I would rather, guess what's better than the insurance bank? Our bank.
The federal tax.
Or the banks that are paying us direct as soon as we're finished. Like Goodly,
right.
And all the different, banks that work within our solar system. So basically,
boom, you're talking cast-on barrel-headed install.
Yeah. And then what we did was we asked the guy if he wanted to keep the check. We swapped the payment. His payment was cheaper. As soon as we got the roof approved, we said, okay, let's look at your solar bill. We built rapport. Then we sold the solar separate. But then once we had them thinking that solar was great, we threw in the roof.
Put it together.
Yeah. But it's like 1, 2, 3. Don't skip your steps. And I was sitting here watching this process, and Stephen Treekawell is one of my top guys. He followed your process to kill the bill, the cost of doing nothing. And I just think about that presentation that's gone through YouTube with almost 100,000 views on it by now, man. And the reality,
I know we got some people checking that out.
And the thing is it's how much time that you spent on the climate, on what's happening in America, on the cost of the American dream, and really solar as a mechanism to fight basically inflation and recession and all these crazy things that are taking out the middle class. Now, what about selling solar when the prices of the loans are so high, where in some markets the solar payment may be equal to or higher than? And any insight into what you do there?
Yeah, and solar's way easier to sell now than it was before. But what may not be the case is your ability to knock on doors and go, hey, you should go solar because it's cheaper. Yeah, why would you get this $50,000 power plant, become the owner of this capital equipment that's going to produce, literally a couple of hundred, several $100,000 worth of a commodity called electricity over the next 25, 30 years. Oh, and for some reason, it needs to be $28 a month cheaper than what you're currently spending with the utility. And I'll tell you why, and that's because solar sales guys have been lazy. We've had the benefit of artificially low financing, artificially low cost of money, because after the housing crisis, the government artificially lowered the Fed rate, which caused the prime rate, interest rates, Fed solar rates all to come down. And so we learned how to sell solar in 2015 to 2020, where we could knock on a door and say, you should go solar, it's cheaper. But I'll tell you, Lee, you and I both know showing up on a homeowner's kitchen table, showing them a $50,000 thing and saying, hey, you should go solar. You should invest in this $50,000 project because it's going to save you $38 a month. Like, dude, that was never compelling. That was never the reason to go solar. And now that interest rates have gone back to normal, guys, Lee, you and I have been around long enough. We know what our mortgages were back in the 80s and 90s, and they weren't 1.9, 2.9, 3.9. They were 8%, 9%. That was my first mortgage in 1987. When I refied to 8% fixed, I thought I died and gone to heaven. And so are you telling me now this phenomena, this solution to the planet's primary problem, you know, the fact that we got 8 billion people lighting shit on fire every day to make the energy for their home and their cars and transportation, we've decided that's screwing up the whole planet and that it's over, we're putting an end to it. And you're telling me you need to make that transition, but only if it's going to be $38 a month cheaper. Solar's not cheaper. It's just a far superior financial strategy. You're getting out of the way of the government's freight train where they're going to make you miserable. They're going to make you pay through the nose if you don't get on board. When the government says, hey, we got a big favor for you, we got a whole bunch of money and we want you to take it. My advice to you is take the money. Because if you don't take the money, what's going to come after that is they're going to quickly tell you how their plan B works, which is you're going to do what we wanted you to do. Now you'll just do it without the money. In fact, we're going to make you pay the money. And that is the exact plan. So my advice is take the money. Yeah, you're going to finance it. Yeah, it's going to be a 5, 6, 7% interest rate. Maybe it's $38 a month more than you're paying. Maybe it's the same. Doesn't matter. Do you think a homeowner with a $5,000 to $10,000 a month nut is even going to notice whether he's spending $38 a month more or less on his average monthly electric bill? That's not even a thing. The thing is, he's spending about $3,000 a year now, and it's about to go to $12,000 a year. He's going to notice when he owns a home that costs $12,000 a year to cool it down in Florida or in Arizona. And people, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go solar, because I want to sell the house someday. I'm like, well, yeah, you're going to sell the house someday. Do you think anyone's going to buy this when it's a $12,000 a year electric bill? That's going to be a monstrosity. No one's going to want to buy it. And by that time, you may have missed the opportunity. Only so many homes in a given neighborhood can go solar. I don't know if you know that yet, because Florida is behind Arizona. In Arizona, they put a number to it because we have a lot more solar here. Florida just started putting solar up a few years ago. At Florida Power and Light really was a problem. Now they fixed those problems. Solar's on fire in Florida. But in Arizona, we've been going solar here for a long time. We're starting to reach the max, and we've set the number. Only 15% of the homes operating off of an electrical subdivision can be solar. That means if you're 15.1, your application gets denied. You waited an extra 6 months, year, 2 years, 5 years to go solar. You've decided sorry, no more space left on the grid. You get to just suck fossil fuels, till it, puts you out of your misery. So that's really the key. Is it's more important now because, Lee, I sold thousands of solar systems. My company has 10,000 installations. I think I sold maybe 1,200 of them myself. Of those systems, it's just unbelievable the difference in what those people are potentially going to pay. They know how much they're paying. It's fixed. It's solid. Their family is safe. If you don't know what you're going to be paying for energy and you're just going to roll the dice, dude, that's a terrible, awful bet.
So lay out how a good guy that's going to have a great first year gets started. Map out like your first 30 days.
Well, first of all, if you're in your roofing, I got to tell you, I love roofing for one reason. Roofing is 10 times better than solar for sales. And I'm going to tell you why. You need a roof. You need a roof that doesn't leak. You do advertising. You're a specialist in advertising and marketing. People respond to roofing ads because why? People need a roof. You're building a house, got to put a roof on it. Your roof leaks, got to come out and get a new roof, get it repaired. You need a roof that doesn't leak. You don't need solar. People don't perceive that they need solar. This is why the commission and the profits are higher, is because we're paid to conjure the situation they're going to be in the future when they need it so bad they want to kill themselves. But they don't need it now. They have unlimited access to unlimited power at a price they can afford. But they do need a roof. So that's why I love the idea of coupling them together. I love the idea of partnering together, solar guys and roof guys, or solar guys adding solar, or roof guys adding solar, solar guys adding roofing, because now you can go to that same customer and go, hey, I know you need a roof, but why in the world would you get a roof and not put solar on it? Show the customer both. They're already there. You're at the kitchen table. They're going to listen, or you're finishing up a roof deal. By the way, every customer gets a complimentary free solar design from our solar department, along with all the insurance information on the blah, blah, blah. I'm going to need a copy of your electric bill so our solar guys can roll back here. And the roofing guy is going to get $500, $1,000, maybe $2,000 just for generating the roofing referral, the roofing lead, right? He doesn't have to come back and be the one that show it to him. If he does, he'll make another couple grand selling the solar system. So why in the world would you be in that catbird seat and then A, not take advantage of it, but B, why would you not pass on the knowledge of what you and I are having a conversation about here? Why would you not give that customer the benefit of this insider knowledge? Make them an insider. Once people have inside information, there's an overwhelming desire to use that insider information to your benefit. That's why they have a law against insider trading. Once you have inside information about, this opportunity, you're going to need a law, a scary one, to keep you from trading and buying on that stock or that opportunity with insider information. Turn your customers into somebody that has this inside information, and they'll have an irresistible response to activate and take advantage of that insider information.
And I like the idea of having two different arsenals in your tool belt. Like whenever you're knocking doors on the old roof, we're knocking to see if we can get their roofs paid for by insurance. We're going to build rapport, then sell them solar. On the new roofs, oh my God, you got a perfect roof for solar. Why don't you have solar on it yet? That's sort of my magic question. Why don't you have a new roof yet? Hey, paid for by the insurance. Why don't you have solar? Do you have like any magic questions that you ask in your sales process?
Yeah, I asked them why in the world they would be tying their little trailer behind a villainous monopoly who is bound and determined to get them to cause as much as they possibly can charge them over the next 10, 20, and 30 years. When you can take the same 50 grand that you're going to give them in just the next 10 years, use that 50 grand to buy an asset, buy a solar system, and be done paying for the thing for the rest of your life. That electric bill is like a lifetime variable lease. I'll ask him, did you read the clause on that lifetime variable lease from your electric company? What do you mean? I didn't sign a lease. Well, you said that you would pay them any amount they charged for power over the next 30 years, right? No matter what they come up with, you'll pay that amount. That's a lifetime variable lease on their equipment. Yeah, you're paying by the kilowatt hour, but you're renting their equipment essentially. All you got to do is take the money we know we're going to give them in the next 10 years, which is 50 grand, apply that to owning your own solar system. And by the way, you're paid off. You're done. You're done paying for this thing for the rest of your life, as opposed to doubling and doubling and doubling again.
Now, you see this all the time. A sales guy has big success, big hopes, and then he's got to wait to get his installs. And then maybe the install doesn't go perfect. And then maybe there's cancellations, or then maybe the install, there's a complaint. The customer does a little this, a little that. They lose a little faith in the process. It takes a little time. What happens when a sales guy's new and he faces adversity? And what's your advice to someone who's doubting the process?
Well, I have to tell you, Lee, and you know this because you've been training guys in the roofing space. When you know how to do something, someone's shown you how to do it, it's easy. When you don't know how to do something, it's hard. When I started winning these Golden Door Awards in 2016, 17, 18, and I'm selling 2.5 million watts of solar, and everyone else is killing themselves trying to sell one and not making it. And they're looking at me going, what's going on? And it's like, well, guys, I know how to do this. I had guys show me how to do it. I've been doing this since 1984. I just got lucky enough to wander into a room where there were guys that had been selling aluminum siding for the last couple, 3 decades. And it was very similar, home improvement, large ticket, and you didn't need it. You could paint the house for $500 or buy $5,000 worth of aluminum siding. Those guys showed me and taught me how to create value and urgency so that I got invited to the kitchen table. And then once I was at the kitchen table to do a presentation that lights the customer's ass on fire. And then the most important thing, unlike roofing where they need a roof and they'll get 2 or 3 quotes and call the guy back, hopefully you're good at getting them to like you and you got a decent price, they're going to call you back. No one ever calls a solar guy back. And it was the same with that aluminum siding. Those tin men knew there were no B-backs, man. And so they taught me how to deal with it. And that's what I've been able to do. I wrote this book, No Matter What, which is kind of we got this background thing going on. The book's called No Matter What. And it's an exact playbook on how to create those appointments, how to make that presentation, and then how to execute a today only close. And then more important than that, like you, I've built a university, an academy in the solar world. It's called MOD Sales Academy. And it's literally the book and the course, they're a complement to each other, are a recipe for a 7-figure income in solar sales. And I got to tell you, when I just knew how to do this and I showed up and I'm selling 2.5 times as much as the best guys in the industry, the only thing that could explain it, because I'm good, but I'm not that good. The only thing that could explain it is that, in the land of the blind, I was the one-eyed man. And I could see, I knew what to do. Every single solar presentation is going to end the same way, just about 18% of folks, when you show them the compelling presentation sales pitch, they're going to go, yeah, that makes sense. What's the next step? Yeah, man, 18. I call that jumping in the boat. It kind of freaks me out because so few jump in the boat. I don't know what to do. Club them. I don't know what to do when they jump in the boat. But more often than not, they're going to say, wow, this is awesome. Lee, you're just you're a superhuman. Getting to my door, showing me how this works. This is awesome. I now know I am solar. I now know you're my solar guy. But Lee, we're both big guys. We know how to make important decisions. And Lee, is I'm sure you can understand, and you'll support me on this. My wife and I, we're going to pray tonight. We're going to get up in the morning and pray tomorrow. I'm going to talk to my buddy at work who went solar. I got some baller guys that I'm accountable to. I'm going to be talking to them as well. But I've got an opening on my calendar on Friday at 1 p.m. And what I want to know from you, Lee, are you able to get back here Friday at 1 p.m.? Can we get together, do these documents, get this show on the road? Does that work for you?
Most people would say yes.
Just about the best closers in the world when I put it to them that way. What's happening? Sell or be sold. The homeowner's so persuasive at selling that one idea that they absolutely have a legitimate reason why this is going to take a couple of days to think about it. Can you email this proposal to me? And that's when the salesperson's little heart breaks, and they're like, this was going so well. This was 1,000% going to be a sale. And they hold on to the hope that that feedback's going to happen. And then they get that call on Friday. Yeah, my mom's in the hospital. I'm getting on a plane. Call me on Monday. And, next thing you know, they don't take your call. They're texting you back and then they're ghosting you entirely. And the reason that you were not, asking for the order or disputing that idea that somehow it was better to adopt a plan of procrastination was that you were hoping that your rapport was going to carry over into the next meeting. It wasn't until later and years later before you recognize the pattern. There's almost never another meeting. No. And so you need to understand what to do right then and there. And that's what the MOD Sales Academy teaches people to do. A, yes, get to the kitchen table with an appointment. B, light their ass on fire. But most importantly, be of service. And the service you were brought to that kitchen table was to help that family understand and make a decision that moving forward at this moment is such profound effects and benefits in their favor that you would be doing them a disservice not to have the courage, reach into the tool bag and get the hammer, and there's the nail, and hit the nail on the head with the hammer. And I got to tell you, Lee, I've taught this method to lots of people, and they just don't have the stones to actually do that at that moment. Why? Because it's going to make it awkward. And they want to avoid that awkwardness. And so they go, yeah, you didn't even want to say no. You wanted to tell me most people would say yes. People don't want to say, you know what, I'd love to come back. I see us in lots of rooms together, having barbecues together, now that we're such good friends. But I got to tell you, I would love to come back, but I absolutely cannot come back. And I've already explained this to you in the first 10 minutes that I got here. I built the door frame. I did the presentation. I hung the door. And right now you're going to ask me to email this proposal and come back on another day. And I'm just going to very politely, very professionally, just close the door. It's all set. It's all there. It's all ready to happen. And we're going to do paperwork right now, if you know how to do that. And if you've been taught, you've been trained, you're going to know how to execute that to maneuver to where it seems seamless, effortless, totally professional. It's not high pressure. It's you performing the service that you were asked to come to that kitchen table and perform. You're going to learn how to do it. You're going to value it. You're going to understand that your time is valuable. If I were to come back, by the way, I would deprive another family of, I'm in this thing 3 or 4 times every day. What am I going to do? Go back to everybody 2 or 3 times and cover 1/4 the ground over the next few months while we're facing all these? It's not going to happen. It can't happen. By the way, I'd love to come back. I cannot come back. We have a great, and by the way, this isn't high pressure. We got a great team of follow-up folks. I'm just not on that team. And so this is a takeaway close, and I'm the takeaway. And let me tell you what, Lee, you want my name on that piece of paper. We're about to do paperwork. It's a 25-year financing agreement. You want my, if I've done this presentation right, which included why I'm your hookup, why I'm your guy, I'm your representative, you want my name on that piece of paper, because I'm going to be with you for the next 25 years. I'm going to make sure you got what it is I told you were going to get. Not some guy who has to come back and follow up. You know, those are called salespeople. I got to pay those folks a lot in commissions. That's going to cause this deal to be a lot more expensive. And, you know, no skin off my nose. I sell 7 out of 10 of these. I don't know which 3 aren't going to do it. And I don't care if you're one of them, but I kind of like you. I'd like to get you to move forward so that you're one of the ones that make it onto the boat. You didn't jump on the boat, but I'm going to do my job. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to put my hand out. And I know there's no way to change your mind. So I'm going to give you new information. I'm going to make you a new offer, and I'm going to ask you to make a new decision. And when some people ask me, how long does it take to do a solar presentation? I tell them, well, until the customer says yes and comes aboard, or they ask you to leave. And I don't know how long that's going to take. So there's no way to answer that question.
That is savage, my friend. And with that, I'm going to have to wrap this up, guys. If you want to get in touch, I say that is his secret close. This is the cheapest you're ever going to get solar. I'm only going to come back here I'm here for today only. This is a today only price. He builds that door before he walks into it. And, you know, as he's sitting there, he's like, dude, like, you're not going to get a better deal than you're going to get today. And as he's built the rapport, he inks it in and says, you want my name on the deal. I love it, Mike. That's some real good sales process. Transferable.
Great to be with you, Lee. Yeah.
And y'all got to follow
your folks can get a ton of that content. There's a lot more, as you were talking about the YouTube on your site. It's also on my YouTube channel. But I've got information. I got content like this coming out every single solitary day. Just follow me on social media. You'll get a bunch of it. It's Michael O'Donnell Sales. I'll see you there.
All right, guys. Till next time. We'll see y'all. Peace out.